Donovan Live post-game show, but for tonight you can consider this your pre-game show as we get you ready for Game 1 of the Cavaliers and Warriors in the 2018 NBA Finals. Jimmy, as you pointed out on your Jimmy's take earlier tonight, this is the first time that you have 4 straight years in professional sports, 2 teams playing for a championship, and you think about Lakers Celtics or Yankees Dodgers and all the great rivalries of the past, Steelers Cowboys, but never quite like this.
No, I think you're right, and it's the way the NBA is structured now, where you have a couple of super teams, and the Cavs still qualify as a super team, and Golden State is the super team. And that has changed the landscape in the NBA. I mean, you know, when Miami went in and LeBron went over there along with Chris Bosh, that created a super team, but there really wasn't a super team, you know, to match that. I mean, Dallas got a run at them. San Antonio was put together the old-fashioned way, you know, draft choices and growing players. This would be a really healthy thing. And I speak of the health of the rivalry, if the Cavs could win the series.
Absolutely.
Now you've got a real rivalry. But if this goes the other way, and if, as a lot of people predict, it becomes a one-sided series and Golden State makes it 3 out of 4, then you're saying to yourself, the super team thing, does it really add to the NBA?
Yeah. And the odds makers would have you believe that for the series, the Cavs are massive underdogs. But even for tonight, you know, you got to go back to what, Sixers, Lakers when Allen Iverson was there, or go even back further. I mean, there's only twice, I think, since 1991 that a team has been a 12-point underdog in a finals game.
Yeah, and incidentally, in 2001, when Iverson's Sixers went in and played the Lakers, in that game that you're talking about, Game 1, they were a 12-point underdog in the Forum, the old Forum. And he scored 48 that night, and they won in overtime, Philadelphia. Now, they didn't win again in the series, but I mean, you know. And that's kind of like this series, or at least how a lot of people forecast this series, is that LeBron's going to have to give you those kind of numbers.
Yes, in order for you to win.
Yeah, I think so. I really do. Jason Lloyd made a good point on the Donovan Live show at 7 o'clock that, you know, the Cavs in previous years going against Golden State, the other 3, although, you know, there's a footnote to that, but especially last year, for instance, I mean, you had 3 options. You had Kyrie Irving, you had Kevin Love, and you had LeBron. Well, now Kyrie Irving's not here.
Yes.
Okay, and Kevin Love moves up to really the second option, and that's a different dynamic, I think.
And the thing with Kevin is, he's not a guy that normally is really aggressive when it's like, give me the ball, I want the ball. Now, when he gets it, he'll take it to the basket or he'll shoot, but he's not an assertive guy in that kind of way where it's like, I feel like he's like the reluctant number 2, I almost feel like. And
you think he might have been comfortable at number 3?
I think so.
Yeah,
and
maybe,
I think where he was very comfortable, I think, you know, hey, if you need me, I'll be out on the wing or I'm out on the perimeter. You find me. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I think it's been an unusual postseason for him. The other thing was before the concussion, I still think the hand or the thumb injury really bothered him. But he's got to embrace this being the number 2 and understanding that, look, he's got to score. And if the shot's not falling, if the threes or that 20-foot shot's not falling, he's got to figure out how else to score.
Yeah, he does. And Jason Lloyd went on to say, when I said, what's his job tonight? He said, score.
Yeah.
He's got to score. So if it's going to be out on the wing, and as you said, he really likes it out there, and his belief is he pulls somebody with him.
Yeah.
And it loosens things up. It allows LeBron to penetrate. It gives more room to Tristan Thompson. I mean, you can play it any way you want. But the fact is, he does have to score. And you know what? He's got to rebound.
Yes.
Okay, he needs to rebound. Now, there was a problem for Golden State in the first half of Game 7 in Houston. They did not rebound. They got killed on the boards. And it wasn't that Houston was hitting their first shot on possessions, but they were hitting their second and third shot, but definitely their second shot. I mean, they just killed them on the boards. So it can't all be Tristan Thompson, and it isn't LeBron. Okay, it has to be Kevin Love. It has to be Kevin Love to get in there and help rebound. And remember in Game 7, when they won the championship a couple of years ago, I think he had 16 rebounds in that game, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
You know,
so he can do it.
Right, absolutely. He does. I mean, he can't score 8 points with those 16 rebounds.
Right, yeah.
He needs to have
he's
more
averaging.
points.
I think he's averaging 13.9 in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's got to be
go
north
up.
of that. He's got to be north of that.
The other thing is that now the rebounding problem, and I think it is a concern for Golden State. I think that's where they really miss Iguodala.
Yes,
he clears the boards for them. Yeah.
Yep, and he's so good. I'm with you. I just think. When you think about the keys for tonight and what the Cavs have to do, obviously they've got to control the pace, and it's like the old Venture song: walk, don't run.
Yeah.
Even if you're a 3-on-1 break,
walk it.
Walk
yeah,
it.
Yeah, I really think. I think the Golden State tries to get you into this, chaotic feeling, and there are two things that happen. You don't handle that well, you being the team playing them, and they handle it really well because they feed off of that. That's the way they play.
And their crowd loves it, and it ignites that crowd at the Oracle.
And boy, you and I both would have to admit, when it's working, it is really
it's beautiful.
It's something to watch when they do it. Now, there's a belief here, if you watch the game statistically tonight as the game goes along, if Kevin Durant is scoring a lot, that's not the way the Warriors want to play.
Agreed.
Right?
Yes.
And I think there was a great one of those rare inside access pieces during the Western Conference Final. I think it was Game 5 that they ended up losing in Houston. And Durant was playing hero ball, as they say now in the NBA. It was all Durant. And Steve Kerr called him over during a timeout and didn't talk to the team. He just talked to Durant, and he told him a story about, hey, Michael Jordan realized that you can't do this. Even Michael Jordan realized at one time we went over to him and Phil Jackson said to him, hey, listen, these other guys, if you feed them, they'll score.
Right.
And it might help you. And I think watch Durant tonight.
Yeah.
Because if he's hoisting up, trying to score 30, 35 points, which he is very capable of doing, that sometimes that doesn't work for Golden State.
They're Golden State, when they have like three guys with like 20 to 25 points and then a triple-double for Draymond Green, that's when you know you're in trouble. Because right there, that's about 100 points right there without, Iguodala, who obviously isn't playing tonight, their bench, Livingston, anybody else.
Right.
What about that, the lack of Iguodala tonight? I feel like it's, and I think we talked about this yesterday, not having him A, guarding LeBron James, but B, kind of running that second unit or playing on that death lineup where you put Draymond Green at the 5 and he becomes the power forward.
Right.
You miss out on those two aspects not having him tonight.
Yeah, and I think they're worried about his availability for the series now. I mean, they are perplexed that he is not improving. So now we're into Game 1 of the finals. Game 2 is Sunday. There's no indication that he's ready to go for Sunday either. And the longer this goes on, you wonder if he's going to be able to play. Right. Now, he has gotten second opinions, I believe, on that leg. And, I don't know what they've deduced. Obviously, that they're not coming out and saying, surgically at some point he's going to have something done. Sometimes you find out about that at the end of the season after locker cleanout day. But I don't know. He's a mystery right now. But he has great games against the Cavs.
He always does.
Not only defensively, but he was the series MVP when they won their first one.
Yeah, he's amazing. He loves playing against the Cavs, and I still think LeBron talked about it the other day. It's like the Cavs. LeBron wanted the Cavs to draft him back in 2004, and you sit there and you go, God, I would love to have. He would be so great on a team like this.
Steve Kerr said about him, he's the adult in the room.
Yeah.
And sometimes they do need that. They get really, and really you've seen it through the regular season, but more pronounced now in the playoffs, and specifically in the Houston series. They were way off their game and, on the verge of really falling out of it a couple of times.
A couple other things. When you look at the Cavs, we talked about this, LeBron needs help and all that, and Jeff Green certainly did that in Game 7. But I think at some point, on a road game, preferably tonight or Sunday, J.R. Smith and or George Hill, they've got to hit shots. They have to be the starting backcourt has to be effective for the Cavs.
This is a really good defensive team, Golden State. A lot of that chaotic get up and down the floor starts on the other end of the floor because they defend well and they get out on the break, and it's always watch them. They're going to push it all night long. But you're right. It might be tough to get shots because these guys defend. Klay Thompson is a phenomenal defender.
He's amazing.
You know, he would take on Kyrie Irving and give it a go.
He could guard Kyrie Irving. He could guard LeBron. He could guard Kevin
Love. Yeah, right. I mean, that's how valuable he is. But you're right. I mean, you know, J.R. Smith has had a mysterious year.
Yes.
Dino. Some have said, hey, J.R. Smith's, you know, long in the tooth now, and he has not been the player. He wasn't the player last year that he was. The year they won the title, he really, he had a coming out party where people said, wow, this guy really, where it looked like he could be a disruptive force on every team that he played, he blended in perfectly somehow with this gang, and he did a great job. But since then, it's been a rapid decline, and this year, it's been invisible. And he's out there, and I think they just keep waiting for it to happen.
I mean, and because here are your options. If he's not scoring or if he's not doing anything to help you, you've got Korver. And then, I mean, after that, I mean, do you dust off Rodney Hood? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you dust off Clarkson?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Cavs, I mean, they would like to go with Love back now 8 deep, where you have off the bench Korver, Green, and Nance. And I think that's probably, I mean, maybe Clarkson, but that's about it.
You know, Dino, Korver did not have a good NBA Finals last year.
No, he did.
Okay, I mean, the glaring highlight, low light, is when he missed the three that could have put the game away. Could have put the game away in game number 4 that the Cavs ended up, game 3 that they ended up losing. So I think that, you know, that's something to look forward to is, and I didn't think he had a good game 7 in Boston. He had game 6, everybody kind of got to it. He had a bad game 5 in Boston where he wasn't a factor. You know, if you're going to hit shots, if they're going to do that thing that they do where they hang, everybody kind of picks a spot behind the three-point arc, Korver would be a great option if he's hitting his shots, and so we'll know pretty early with him.
Yeah, I think is there a magic number point-wise? I mean, if the Cavs allow Golden State to get above like 95, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I think if it hits 100, I think that's a pretty good indicator that it's not going to go their way. I think they'd like to keep the game in the 90s. I think the high 80s would be a lot to ask, but I think in the 90s, now that would tell you that the pace of the game is where the Cavs want it. I think that's the most important thing you're going to see is, and Ty Lue becomes a big factor in that because he can control the pace of the game. He can stop those Golden State runs with timeouts, you know, and how you use those.
And yeah, it's knowing when to, you know, when that run is starting to build and when that eruption is starting to happen. And it usually happens, you know, Curry makes a miraculous 3 or it's on one of those fast breaks that they love to do. And all of a sudden it's like, you know, I mean, the Oracle's just one of those arenas that just has that roar when things are happening. And, you know, Ty Lue's got to know when to take time out. By the way, he came out today and talked about when he took his leave of absence, had a lot to do with having anxiety. And it's somebody else kind of opening up about mental health. And I'm glad that they figured out what the problem was. And more importantly, he's getting the proper help and treatment.
You know, Dino, I wonder about no matter what happens in this series, I wonder about his future with this team. I wonder if he may step away and get himself right. I mean, it was the description that Dino's talking about was scary. He's coughing up blood, couldn't sleep, you know, had chest pains, a lot of chest pains. He had chest pains in the offseason at times. So he's tried to cure that or curb that with dietary, you know, improvement. He's hired a chef. He's trying to get some workouts in, things like that. But you wonder at the end of this if he just says, win or lose, you know what, I think I need to get myself in order. He's what, 42?
Yeah, he's a young guy.
He's a young guy.
He's a young guy. And we've seen this. We see it with coaches. I mean, we've always talked about with NFL coaches.
Yes.
You get that burnout, and it's just like, you know, you've got to find a way to pull back. And I wonder if that's going to be the case too.
He's had a helper. He's had an advisor in Steve Kerr, who's gone through misery with neck pain, migraine headaches, and back pain and things like that, and a surgery that seemed to not go the way that it was supposed to go, and the miserable year. I mean, last year he didn't coach in the first couple of games of the final.
That's right.
Mike Brown coached, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's you want to be an NBA head coach. that's the life. I mean, that is absolutely the life. Final thing, as fans are kind of watching tonight, what are like the things Jim Donovan's going to be looking for to say, boy, this is what the Cavs need to do to win?
Well, I'm fascinated to see how LeBron plays because I think he knows the score going into this thing, and he's on a historic postseason and year. He's way over 700 minutes played in just the playoffs. Nobody's even close. I think that, I'm wondering how he's going to come out and do it. I think early in the game it's very important for him because there are guys that he's going to be out there with because of the reshaping of this roster that haven't played in this kind of game before. I mean, Larry Nance Jr. hasn't played in this kind of a game. George Hill hasn't played. George Hill's had a nice career, but he hasn't played in this. Clarkson hasn't played in this kind of a game.
I don't think Jeff Green's ever played in a final, has he?
No. No, I don't think so. No, he does. He does not. So I think that I think LeBron early in the game, I think you're going to see him very active, and it will be interesting to see how he does it. Is he going to distribute and try and get them all involved in the game? But he's like a babysitter, I think, early. Hold them by the hands and say, "Come on, this is going to be okay," because these guys can blow you out early.
Yes.
But they can also let you back in, and I take you back to that mysterious fourth game that they played against Houston in the Western Final when they were up 2-1 in the series. They went ahead 12-0 in the game 4. And then all of a sudden they kind of
lollygagged.
Yeah, they throw the ball away. Curry comes down and throws up a weird shot. Then Green comes down and he dribbles the ball off his knee. And, they got themselves back. They'll let you back in the game a little bit, though. And they do it with turnovers. Now, they say, hey, that's the way we play.
Right.
You want us to play free and easy, you got to have to swallow some turnovers.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the price that we see, especially in the postseason with LeBron James. You love having LeBron James on your team. He's a playmaker. He's a creator. You got to live with the turnovers. But in this case, it's been a bad habit for them. And the other thing, I always, whenever I look at the Cavs in Golden State, there's always the mental factor, the emotional factor. There's always the possibility of an eruption by Draymond Green, a technical foul. Obviously we remember 2 years ago we got suspended for a game. You've got to stay in the moment and not lose your cool and lose your temper because that's what they want. And but Draymond, he's known for hard fouls and he's known for technical fouls for whining at the referees. And it's if you can get that in your favor, the mental aspect in your favor, advantage Cavs in that department.
So I would look for LeBron to see how he goes. I think he realizes it's got to be, it's got to be full go all the time, probably all 48 at a very different pace, though. I mean, that's why the pace is important. And then I would look for these mystery guys who have had mystery years. Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, top of the list. The other thing I would like to say is I think Kevin Love has become like an NFL quarterback. NFL quarterbacks, but let me put it this way. Kevin Love gets no credit when the Cavs win, and he gets too much criticism when the Cavs lose. And sometimes I say to myself, Kevin, might it not have been more comfortable to stay in Minnesota? I wonder how happy he really is. Now, there are reports that he isn't. Okay? But, I would like to see him have a good series.
I would too.
Not a game, a good series.
A good series. And win or lose. I would too. I would too. I mean, he's had a tough year with the injuries and obviously coming out and saying, hey, look, I've been battling depression and this is really a hard thing. I'd like to see him have a good series too. Quick reminder, a couple things. There is a ton of content right now at WKYC.com. There are still tickets available, the Cavs tell us, for the watch party up at Quicken Loans Arena. It's only $10. It's a great deal and chance to watch the game on the Humongatron and take in everything. We've got our NBA Finals guide out with everything you need to know about tonight's game, the whole series in general, tickets, everything. So there's that. Let's see, what else am I doing? We're going to have our game blog. Ben Axelrod and Matt Florjancic will be ready during the game. Now, if the game ends before your sports, are you able to do highlights no matter what, or do you have to?
I wouldn't count on us having highlights.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get the NBA rules.
I will be like the Cardinals in certain archdioceses on when St. Patrick's Day lands on Friday. I will give you special dispensation to eat meat on that day. You can have your corned beef. I'll give you a special dispensation, to come back and join us on a different night. But no, we have restrictions tonight. Heavy restrictions.
Heavy restrictions.
Heavy restrictions.
But again, we have a ton of content, though, for you online during the game and after the game as well. I'll be back with you after the game for final thoughts as well. Jimmy? Let's buckle up.
Okay.
4 years in a row. Cavs Warriors. Let's do it. Good luck to the Cavs out there. Enjoy game 1 tonight. We'll be back again afterwards with final thoughts, instant reaction here on Facebook Live. For Jim Donovan and for the soon-to-be vacationing David Herverton, I'm Dave DeNatale. Thanks for watching the Donovan Live postgame show here on WKYC's Facebook Live.